we are not afraid of this conversation, and you should not be afraid of this conversation either. This is a really, really important topic for our state, for our country, for our planet, and we are here to make some changes for the better and get some jobs in Missouri, make our environment a little bit better, and make life a little bit better for some people who've been wrongly victimized by our current policy of cannabis prohibition. So thank you guys for coming out to be part of this. We've got people at tables on either side who are collecting signatures for our petition. If you're willing and able to sign, if you're a registered voter in Missouri, we're trying to get an initiative on the ballot which would regulate cannabis or marijuana, as it's otherwise known, like alcohol, so that it would only be available to adults who are aged 21 years of age or older, and not be quite as rampantly available for all of the teenagers as it is right now. Sorry, teenagers, if that's what you were hoping out of our initiative, that's not our goal. We are trying to make our society safer by redirecting our police resources towards things like violent crime and property crime, things that hurt other people, and not spend all of our time and effort and money putting people behind bars for choosing to use a substance which is safer than alcohol, safer than tobacco, and frankly, safer than water in that you can't actually overdose on water. You can't overdose on cannabis. People have tried, and they've failed. But the point is that in a free society, we should be able to choose to use this in the privacy of our own homes, behind closed doors, and make responsible decisions as adults. We've had this responsibility taken away from us and given to the government, so that the government tells us what's good for us and what's not good for us. And in the meantime, the intention of the policy to keep it out of the hands of kids, to make our society safer, has just not been met. Our policies failed, and that's what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about what are the next steps. What can we do as society to make our lives better? And we feel that creating a system of regulation which would give us transparency and oversight and accountability of a legal market, a legal regulated market, we feel that we'll have actually more control over this plant than we have right now. Right now, the people who are making money off of it are criminals. And frankly, I think they should pay taxes. I think that we should know who they are, and I think that in order to police their market, that we could actually have police policing their market instead of rogue gun owners, rogue criminals who can't turn to a legal system whenever they are wronged in a business transaction. So it's really about sensibility. It's really about control, transparency, and making our society better and safer. So I think we are at a watershed moment in history on this issue. There was a Gallup poll that came out in October which showed that 50% of Americans are now in favor of full legalization, whereas only 46% are opposed to it. 46% think that it should be legal, and more people think it should be fully legal. In the Midwest, that number is at 54%, down at 54%, and that jumped from 46%, I believe it was, a year earlier. And 5 years earlier, we were at actually 32%. So it's an astounding increase in support on this issue. People are starting to take it seriously. Whenever you talk about marijuana, people talk about the fact that good people are in jail, good people are losing their job opportunities, good people are losing their educational opportunities, and it's not just a joke about Cheetos. So I think that this is really saying a lot for the fact that we have an opportunity to make this change happen, and so that's why we're here. I don't want to belabor this too much. I think you guys know what it is that we're trying to accomplish, and we've got a couple more speakers who would like to tell you more about why it is that we're trying to do this and how we're going to do it. But the important thing is right now that we have until the first week of May to turn in 144,000 valid signatures to the Secretary of State's office. to qualify for the November ballot so that we can talk about this issue, so that we can get it voted on, so that we can break the taboo of silence that surrounds cannabis as a topic of discussion. And we need your help on that. Basically, right now we're a volunteer effort, and we've got around 1,000 volunteers, but it's not enough. We need everybody out there getting signatures. So after we have our speeches, we are going to actually move inside and do a training for anyone who is interested in getting signatures and helping us to get this on the ballot. And if you are not able to make that training, we also have the training available online at our website, show-mecannabis.com. And we would love for you to come check it out and get involved and be part of our team and part of this historic effort to legalize and regulate and tax cannabis in Missouri and end cannabis prohibition. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our next speaker. We have a lovely woman and hardcore volunteer activist, Ms. Betty Taylor. She is with Law Enforcement Against Prohibition, and so she is actually a person who has been on the front lines. She's been on the front lines of this war on drugs, war on cannabis, and she can tell you from the perspective of law enforcement why it is that we really need to change this policy. So everybody give it up for Betty.
Hi, thank you. I'd like to start off with a quote from Einstein, because he was supposed to have been really smart. Is that right? All right. The prestige of government has been undoubtedly lowered considerably with the prohibition laws. For nothing is more destructive to the respect of government than a law that cannot be enforced. It is an open secret that the dangerous increase in crime in this country is closely connected with this. I'd like to start out with that because we, as law enforcement, is a different type of career. You go into law enforcement to make a difference. And you can only enforce the laws that can be enforced. So it doesn't matter about the skill of commitment that you have or the respect you have for law enforcement. This activity, which is drug activity, cannot be eradicated because it's profitable and it's enormously popular. And I found it very fitting that my son actually translated the Latin up there. It says, "Let the good of the people be the supreme law." What is the good of the people? Is it having police officers that can't enforce the law? Or is it being able to enforce a law that they really don't believe should be there? In the United States, we have 5% of our population incarcerated right now. That's 25%. But we're the land of the free. There are a lot of problems with the police officers. They want to speak out about this. They know from doing the search warrants or being on the front lines of prohibition and the problems that it causes, but they can't. A lot of people believe that the police officer's silence is that they are in agreement with the laws that they have to enforce. They took an oath to enforce those laws, but there isn't a way that they can actually speak about it. But what LEAP does, we are Law Enforcement Against Prohibition. We're actually a committee of people that are former law enforcement, chiefs of police, there's correction officers, probation officers, and judges, and we actually have seen how this is failed. Prohibition is failed on its own terms. It hasn't failed because there's not a level of commitment or respect. It has failed because of its own terms and because nobody is able to enforce the laws because it's too profitable. And drug dealers don't ask for an ID. Right now, it's easier for my 17-year-old son to actually go out and get illicit drugs than it would be for him to go get a beer. That's why these laws have to be changed. And I wanted to end up today with another quote, because my son loves to give me quotes about LEAP and things in general, is that the negative effects of prohibition and violence and criminal enrichment, no matter where it has. Prohibition has failed wherever it's been tried. We've seen it with alcohol prohibition, and now we're seeing it with cannabis prohibition. So please, if you know of anyone, let them get out and volunteer or have them sign the petition. It's time for us to be passed. Thank you.
Thanks, Betty.